Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video from Via Doctis, dedicated exclusively to Antarctica, a polar desert of vast continental dimensions and extreme latitudes, covered by ice on 98% of its surface. This expansive territory includes the coldest place on Earth and holds the record for the lowest temperature ever recorded. This record was set in 1983 at Russia's Vostok station, with an unofficial temperature of -131 degrees Fahrenheit and an official temperature of -128.6 degrees Fahrenheit. These temperatures are comparable to the average temperatures found on Mars. Interestingly, Antarctica is also the driest place on Earth. Although covered in ice, it is technically a desert because it receives very little precipitation. In fact, in some regions, known as the Dry Valleys, decades have passed without a single drop of rain. These areas have such low humidity that neither snow nor ice accumulates on them, revealing bare, rocky, or sandy ground. This landscape starkly contrasts with the typical image of the frozen continent. In fact, the largest sand dune in Antarctica is 230 feet high and more than 656 feet wide, located in the McMurdo Dry Valleys. From these images, you can get a sense of what these remarkable dry valleys of Antarctica look like. Additionally, Antarctica holds the record for being the windiest place on Earth, with wind speeds reaching up to 200 miles per hour, making it one of the most dangerous places on the planet for air or sea travel. Furthermore, it is surrounded by the world's oceans, with its coasts bordered by the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific Oceans. The Antarctic Circumpolar Current, driven by the world's strongest winds, rotates clockwise around Antarctica, helping to keep the continent cold by blocking warmer waters from more temperate currents. This current is very nutrient-rich, which is why there is an immense abundance of marine life in the waters surrounding the continent. This amazing landmass holds about 70% of the planet's fresh water, all in the form of ice. Its land is dominated by the ice sheet, which averages about 6,500 feet in thickness and has an estimated volume of 5 million cubic miles, persisting for centuries. This volume is so immense that scientists estimate if the ice sheet covering the continent were to melt, it would raise global sea levels by nearly 200 feet. Additionally, due to this immense ice sheet, Antarctica is the highest continent on Earth, with an average elevation of 7,500 feet, so only the tallest peaks rise above the endless ice. This ice sheet is so heavy that it has caused the land to sink in some places. For example, East Antarctica lies about 8,200 feet below sea level because of the colossal weight of the ice it supports. In addition, Antarctica conceals a surprising topography beneath its thick ice, as it is home to the world's largest subglacial lake, known as Lake Vostok. This lake lies beneath more than 11,000 feet of ice and is believed to have been isolated from the outside world for millions of years. Incredibly, scientists have managed to drill through this thick layer of ice to study the lake's water. Upon analyzing it, they discovered previously unknown bacterial life forms, opening the door to the possibility of bacterial life in subglacial lakes on other frozen planets or moons. Beyond Lake Vostok, more than 200 lakes have been discovered beneath Antarctica's ice sheet. The geothermal heat from the planet's interior, combined with the insulation provided by the thick layers of ice, allows these lakes to remain liquid. Antarctica is also home to the saltiest body of water on Earth, Don Juan Pond, located at the base of the Transantarctic Mountains. Its salt concentration reaches an astounding 40%, compared to 30% for the Dead Sea and 3.5% for typical ocean water. The salt in Don Juan Pond is actually calcium chloride, which lowers the freezing point of water even more than sodium chloride, the salt we use daily. This high concentration of salt keeps Don Juan Pond in liquid form, even in the extreme cold of Antarctica. The fact that it almost never freezes is a testament to its extreme salinity, making it unique among hypersaline ponds in the world. Continuing with Antarctica's surprising topography, scientists recently discovered a massive canyon that could rival the Grand Canyon in Colorado. This canyon, which has yet to be officially named, was discovered during a 2010 expedition. It stretches approximately 62 miles, is over 5.6 miles wide, and plunges to depths of more than 1 mile. Scientists believe it could be even larger, as these are only estimates, and further exploration is needed to determine the full extent of this immense rift beneath the ice sheet. This astonishing discovery was made under the Ferrigno ice stream, in a region considered remote even by Antarctic standards. In addition to these features, Antarctica is home to Mount Erebus, the southernmost active volcano in the world, which contains the only known persistent lava lakes that have held liquid magma for millions of years. Despite the frigid conditions of the continent, Antarctica is also unique in terms of governance. The Antarctic Treaty, signed on December 1, 1959 in Washington and enforced as of June 23, 1961, ensures that the continent is not under the sovereignty of any country and is preserved for the benefit of all humanity. Its lands are used exclusively for peaceful purposes and scientific research, with mining and military activities prohibited unless they are in support of research. This treaty underscores how special Antarctica is. To find a comparable agreement regarding sovereignty at the international level, we can look to the Moon. The Outer Space Treaty, in its Article 2, states that outer space, including the Moon, is not subject to national appropriation by claim of sovereignty, by means of use or occupation, or by any other means. Indeed, it's a special, vast, and uninhabited place where the human population peaks during the summer, reaching 5,000 individuals, but drops to only 1,000 during the winter. However, according to records from 2016, only 135 residents could be considered permanent. As an interesting fact regarding its small population, in January 1979, Emil Marco Palma became the first human born in Antarctica. Since this historic birth, only 10 other people have been born on the continent. Despite the myths and speculations about Terra Australis Ignota dating back to antiquity, Antarctica was the last region on Earth to be discovered by humans. It was long believed to have been first sighted in the austral summer of 1603 by the Spanish navigator Gabriel de Costilla. However, new research conducted in 2021 suggests that ancient Polynesians may have reached Antarctica when they were exploring New Zealand, 1,000 years before Western explorers. According to a study published in the Journal of the Royal Society of New Zealand, it is believed that the first Maori ship arrived in Antarctica in the 7th century, led by Chief Wei Te Rangiora. Leaving humans aside, native organisms in Antarctica include various types of algae, bacteria, fungi, plants, protists, and certain animals, such as mites, nematodes, penguins, pinnipeds, and tardigrades. Due to the extreme cold, vegetation is nearly non-existent, though small patches of tundra biome can be found in limited areas of the continent. When we think of the animals that inhabit Antarctica, penguins immediately come to mind. However, the most abundant terrestrial animal on the continent is actually the tiny nematode worm. These creatures are only a few millimeters long and use ingenious strategies to survive in this extreme climate. All forms of life that have adapted to Antarctica are remarkable survivors, as life in such an environment is incredibly challenging. As many of you know, due to the tilt of the Earth, the sun does not rise in Antarctica from the spring equinox until the autumn equinox. During the long winter, the days remain in an extended twilight, while the coastal waters freeze, causing the Antarctic continent to grow to a size comparable to the combined landmass of the United States and Mexico. By January, in the middle of the austral summer, the days have nearly 24 hours of daylight, and small streams can be seen briefly thawing, while most bodies of water remain frozen solid. In this brief Antarctic summer, the hours when the sun is closest to the horizon are called white nights, as it never gets fully dark. In fact, during this time, Antarctica receives more sunlight than the equator. Likewise, and although it may sound implausible, about 40 million years ago, and for most of Antarctica's geological history, the region enjoyed a warm climate, covered by tropical forests and deserts. This was likely due to high levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which caused global warming through natural processes such as volcanic emissions, leading to the melting of the polar ice caps. This global warming occurred gradually over a long period of time, allowing the planet's flora and fauna ample time to adapt. The key difference with current climate change is the speed of the shift, as it is primarily driven by human activity. This change is happening far too quickly compared to natural geological periods, which means life on Earth may not have as much time to adapt, unless we humans take action to address the situation. With this reflection, we come to the end of today's video dedicated to this immense kingdom of ice, which is likely the most remote place on Earth. A frozen continent surrounded by hundreds of thousands of icebergs that drift on the waters of the Southern Ocean. A continent buried under millions of tons of ice, home to the largest glaciers on the planet, featuring gigantic icefalls that slowly flow towards an ocean whose waters hover just above the freezing point. It's a landscape that seems dreamlike and surreal, as though it belongs to another world, despite being part of our own. A place that is the coldest and most desolate on Earth. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.